Well, welcome back to Oulton Park. Time is pushing on, so we will get straight on with the Pirelli National Superstock 1000 race and go over to our commentators, James Hayden and Jack Bernicle.
The Pirelli National Superstock 1000 Championship in association with Black Horse, perilously poised after Adam Jenkinson's fall at Brands Hatch. Just 1 point separating him from race winner Hudson Kenner. Joe Burns is close in as well, just 12 points back on 99 ahead of Philip Backlund, the Swede, Victor Cox, Tristan Palmer, Lee Jackson, Dan Johnson and the American Tommy Aquino ahead now of Peter Ward and into the top 10. 11th place for Steve Brogan, 12th place for Josh Day. Now, what about the grid? We've got Tristan Palmer. He nicked pole position on his very final lap of qualifying from the Hollywood boy, Tommy Aquino, in his debut season, and in fact his debut season not only in the UK but on a 1000cc motorbike, ahead of David Johnson's Kawasaki and championship leader Adam Jenkinson. The second row, headed by Swede Philip Backlund, fresh from his wildcard appearance at Silverstone last weekend, Victor Cox, Luke Quigley and Danny Johnson. The third row, Scotsman Jimmy Storer, ahead of the race winner at the last two rounds, Hudson Kenner, and the man close behind him in the championship, Joe Burns, and then Lee Johnston rounding out the third row, ahead of Josh Day, James East coming to form, Steve Brogan suffering from arm problems, his leathers are too tight, and Simon Andrews. 40 riders on the grid. It's an absolute full house here. 40 riders from front to rear, from Tristan Palmer on pole on the Rapido Racing Ducati to Ralph Laturco in 40th place, just behind Paul Curran on the IDAC Kawasaki. And incidentally, alongside him is local boy Conor Behan, a former race winner around this local track in his 125 GP flat-out days. Here we go then, 1000cc Pirelli National Superstock Championship, Oulton Park, off the line. Tristan Palmer digs in deep on the Panigale, the WD-40, this conspicuous blue and yellow colours there of American Tommy Aquino slotting into second place ahead of the equally conspicuous colours of David Johnson, the Australian, in third. So at the moment we have the man from Nuneaton in the Midlands just getting the better of Hollywood and Australia. And that's a fairly entertaining trio at the front. And Adam Jenkinson trying to get on terms on the SMT Kawasaki, the championship leader, running in fourth place.
Yeah, it was a really nice start from Tristan Palmer. He got a great drive there. And look at this, look at Johnson just going up the inside there into second spot, up the inside of Tommy Aquino there. So nice move there from David Johnson.
David Johnson he likes this place. He's tended to have to enjoy himself around this place. We've got a faller already right off the start. We've got someone's gone down, and we know it's one of the IDAC Kawasaki boys who's crashed. We can see that much from his leathers as they drop down into his chicane, left, right, and into Knickerbrook. Aquino pushed back into third place. Here in front of this massive crowd here on a beautiful sunny Sunday, well, sporadically sunny Sunday here at Oulton Park in Cheshire. As they drop down into Druids and then nail it down towards Lodge Corner. Tristan Palmer has the advantage. David Johnson is pestering him, the man from Adelaide. Turned 31 years old in April, really pressing hard. Tommy Aquino fending off Adam Jenkinson for third place.
Yeah, it looks like
Johnson, I was going to say attacking, but Palmer's late on the brakes there, James.
Yeah, no, Palmer's looking really good. He really loves that Ducati Panigale. You know, he's already had a win on the series, first time out on it, a knock hill. He's had a he's had a third and a fourth. So, you know, Palmer really getting to grips with that Panigale well. And it's such a beautiful thing as well.
He currently lies on 54 points. He's joined sixth in the championship with little Lee Jackson, who only qualified back on the fifth row of the grid. So a lot of work to do from the Lincolnshire teenager. We're watching, we glimpsed the WD-40 bike there of Tommy Aquino, 21-year-old, as I mentioned, from Hollywood, who's come over. Well, he's actually riding under the wing of the former Motorcycle Grand Prix Yamaha team manager Jeff Crust from my native northeast. Lives up in Redcar on the North Yorkshire coast. And Tommy Aquino has dropped into fourth place as we watch Victor Cox, number 28, pushing on as well. Yeah,
I mean, Tommy Aquino, you know, he's sort of had quite a slow start to the year. You know, he's finished finished every race apart from the first one at Brands, but suddenly he made that real leap at Brands, didn't he? Second in it and looked, you know, like he could go all the way and much stronger. Suddenly he's qualified in the front row of the grid here, and we're really starting to see, you know, what he's all about.
And he is adapting to 600s as well as life in the United Kingdom, and goodness me, he's living with Brent Gladwin in Sheffield. I mean, that's going to make an impact on any Hollywood boy's lifestyle, isn't it?
Yeah, and there, you just had a quick glimpse there in 7th spot of Hudson Kenner. He's the man that's won the last 2 races in a row, Hudson Kenner, and he's just 1 point behind championship leader Jenkinson. Jenkinson is obviously, just see Jenkinson, this is, well, we're just having a look at Hudson Kenner there. So Hudson Kenner, the man, just 1 point off. And yeah, he's going to want to get forward. He'll be seeing him, because that man there, number 11 on the Kawasaki, the SMT Kawasaki there, Jenkinson, he's the leader, and he's the man that he's going to have to concentrate on.
Do you know, Hudson Kenner is what James Whitham likes to refer to as a race day man. He never qualifies particularly well, but he lights up when he reaches race day, and he's already pushed through to 7th place. Palmer leads it, Johnson second, Jenkinson beginning to warm up there on the SMT Honda, even Kawasaki.
Yeah, and it is the man on the SMT Kawasaki, the man we're looking at, the man who leads the championship. He just did a 1:38.8, so he's the quickest lap of the race so far, and that's 0.7 of a second off the outright lap record, so just give you some idea of the pace they're on. But at the moment, Tristan Palmer, the man wiggling in the front of your picture there on the Panigale, number 33, he's just got a little bit of breathing space there. It looks like 3 or 4 tenths of a second, and it's not a lot. He certainly can't count on it yet, but he's just edged a fraction away in that last lap or so.
The tall Wiltshireman Victor Cox is running now in 5th place, just ahead of Luke Quigley, making his return to the class after starting the year in British Superbikes. And Hudson Kenner 7th, Danny Johnson in 8th place, James East running 9th, ahead of Lee Johnston, the Irishman 10th, Steve Brogan 11th, and Jimmy Storer in 12th, and only 13th for Joe Burns, the tall Geordie lad, who is running 3rd in the championship. He's got work to do from down there. There's so much strength and depth here. Philip Backlund is down in 17th place, just ahead of little Lee Jackson. It's amazing how many people, any of the top 20 would win this on a good day. Yeah, they could. You just saw Hudson Kenner going up the inside of Quigley there as well, in the final corner, so he moves up to 6th spot there. And also, you know, David Johnson, the man who's in 2nd spot, you saw him, what, 38.6. Sorry, Palmer's done the fastest lap now, so that's another fraction closer, but just half a second off the lap record, so Palmer the leader, just stretching that pace. But it looked like David Johnson was just taking that a little bit of those few tenths of a second out of him again. He's down to 0.1 at the front. Last season, David Johnson finished 8th on the Carbon Tech BMW in the Superstock Championship. And where was his only victory? Right here at Oulton Park. Yes, he loves this place, but he's lost a place now to number 11 on the SMT Kawasaki. And Jenkinson now runs in 2nd place. He's passed last year's race winner David Johnson, and learning all the time just behind them is little Tommy Aquino there. He's a good mate, who's good mates not only with Ben Bostrom, a legend of World Superbike racing from years gone by, but also former world champion Scott Russell. And if you look in 5th as well, Hudson Kenner, he's moved up now. He's got past Victor Cox. So Hudson Kenner, the man just 1 point off the championship, the man who's won the last 2 races coming into this race, is just starting to close up now. What's he got on gap-wise? He's got about a second, just over a second to Aquino, but that's the man we're talking about. There he is, number 3, Hudson Kenner on the red and white Kawasaki, and really going well. He's really sort of found a new lease of life, really. You know, we always knew he was a great rider. You know, we saw him battling out for the 600 British Championship a few years ago, but sort of went off the ball, really, but it's really coming back strong this season. So the leader there, number 33, Tristan Palmer, off pole position, just being edged in slightly now by Adam Jenkinson, the championship leader, trying to recover from that big mistake he made at Paddock Hill Bend going into the 2nd lap at Brands Hatch. Aquino trying to go underneath David Johnson at Island Bend. Well, that'll work, but it was brave. Yeah, you've got to be a little bit careful there as well. You know, as we saw in the Superbike, it is a fast corner, therefore it is a dangerous corner, so you have to make sure you give the other person a little bit of room, you know, to make sure that the choice is not running off the track or staying on it. You know, you just got to have a little bit of a thing there, but they both made it round okay. There's quite a look at that. Victor Cox running now in 6th place with Luke Quigley and Dan Johnson right behind him as they drop down the hill. And Tommy Aquino learning all the time on the big bike. He only raced R6s for Yamaha USA in the States before coming over here. And the recommendation, incidentally, for the American was made by none other than former world champion Wayne Rainey, who told Jeff Crust, just give us a couple of days, I'll ring round a bit and see who I can find who might be interested in coming over.
Yeah, well, he's doing a good job. He's doing a good job. He's up in the third. He's just starting to shake off Johnson there. But the rest of the pack as well behind him, you can see you've got Kenner, Cox, Quigley, Johnson, East. They're all starting to close in. That is that battle that we're talking about there for 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th.
As they cross the line now, let's check out the times, and it's a gap of 0.149 of a second, but a couple of tenths quicker in second place, Adam Jenkinson. Yeah, fastest lap of his race for Jimmy Storer, who's moved through into 10th place.
Yeah, you see Jenkinson doing a nice job here. Well, as is Palmer. Palmer's just doing his thing, finding a rhythm at the front, but Jenkinson's just been taking a couple of tenths out of him and just closing it in, and I reckon we'll see Adam Jenkinson have a go here on the next couple of laps.
And as they sweep round Island Bend, head towards the Shell Oils hairpin, this is Jenkinson, trying to the landscape gardener from Cheshire, very much a local man, of course, since he moved out of the suburbs of Manchester, trying to see what he can do about race leader Tristan Palmer. And at the same time, I think Tommy Aquino's a pretty quick learner, because well, we know he's a quick learner because he's just done a track day at Cadwell Park, and within a couple of 20-minute sessions, he was within a second of the Superstock 1,000 lap record round there. But he was enjoying himself so much that Jeff Crust couldn't get him to stop. He just had, okay, well, I'd like to run on a bit more, please.
Yeah, well, that's...
Well, you can see that he's learning from these two guys ahead of him round here, James.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously he's a talented rider, and that's great to hear. Cadwell Park is, can be quite an intimidating circuit, but when you fall for its charms, it's absolutely wonderful. So, that's good to hear that he enjoys it.
I love that. Fall for the charms of Cadwell Park.
But look, look at that. Look like Palmer on the Rapido Sport Ducati. Looked like he just opened up another fraction again. It was 0.1 as they went across the start line of the last lap. Let's have a little look. 0.6. So quite a big gap there, and that was mainly due to Jenkinson, who did a low, well, the leader did a 138.8, and Jenkinson did a 139.2, so just pushed it, then he's got a little bit of breathing space. It's the first time we've seen it over half a second.
And Jenkinson hasn't, because Aquino is edging in on him. Johnson was at 139.0, as was Hudson Kenner in 5th place behind him. Looking outside the top 10, Burns is still down in 10th place, so he's not doing his championship chances a great deal of good, the Geordie lad, at the moment, because his main rivals are stealing a march on him at the moment, with Jenkinson running 2nd, Hudson Kenner running 5th.
And this is the man that we're talking about, the WD-40. What a great sponsor that is for motorcycle racing. But Aquino doing a good job there, and it stands out as well as we look a little further back to Cox and Quigley and Johnson.
Luke Quigley riding bike number 51, the form-wide racing Kawasaki.
Sorry, I was just saying...
Hudson Kenner now is right. This is Australia versus South Africa. He's right with David Johnson, the 30-year-old from Adelaide.
That is indeed. He's just picked away, and he's doing a good job there. And Hudson Kenner, now he's getting his groove. He's, he looks like he's going to have a little go at Johnson quite soon. Be interested to see what Johnson can do, because it looks like Johnson's just struggling a little bit to me to hang on to that top 3.
The Ionic Balance Lynxel Racing Kawasaki running bike number 3 as we look back at number 33. Tristan Palmer still at the front on the Ducati Panigale. There's Hudson Kenner pressing David Johnson, but there are points on the track where Johnson obviously has the advantage.
Well, Johnson looked fantastic into that last corner, into Lodge. He was really late on the brakes, hit the line nice, so he looked really good there.
David Johnson is one of those men who's very quietly been going about equating himself with the Isle of Man TT races, James, isn't he? Oh, look, number 56, what rotten luck. James East, who has really begun to make his mark on the 1000cc motorbike, has entered the pits. So rotten luck then for James East on the IDAC Motorsport Kawasaki. The best of their qualifiers, in fact. We're on the 8th lap of 14 already. Tristan Palmer still running at the front on the Rapido Racing Ducati from Adam Jenkinson.
Oh, Johnson really
Johnson
wide.
way wide.
That spot. Oh, Hudson Kenner, let's have a look.
Couldn't quite make it through. You probably wouldn't have any warning of that. You'd suddenly think, oh, if I'd gone in a bit harder, I would have been through there.
Yeah, but Hudson Kenner must have made a slight factual mistake before. So he's looking like he might have a little go coming into this next one. He pulls out the slipstream. It's very hard to outbrake someone here, though. Even if you're quite a lot quicker, it's just the nature of this corner. It makes it very hard to be significantly quicker than someone to make it clean.
That's why we see so many skating block passes there. Victor Cox, the big Wiltshireman, is beginning to creep up on them. Luke Quigley's going well, also just behind them, and then number 86, Dan Johnson. So many Kawasaki's in this lineup, it's just scary. Palmer, though, on the Ducati Panigale is holding sway at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, they're all sort of just dropped into sort of the high 38s, low 39s, all the way, all the way through the field, really. Back to sort of 12th, 13th spot. That's how tight the times are. But when you got to get the start in a class like this, and that's exactly what Palmer and Jenkinson and Aquino did. They got out in front, and it's very hard to chip away when you're just taking a 10th here, a take then, and you've only got 14 laps.
The strength in depth is absolutely extraordinary, because you've got Robbie Brown, the reigning Ducati Tri-Options Challenge champion, down in 19th place ahead of young Ulsterman Josie Elliott. You've got Johnny Blackshaw, the Cheshire former Superstock 600 Cheshire star, is down in 24th place. Lodge is down there, Stewart, Dan Hegarty, Jonathan Railton, Mike Booth. It's amazing.
Oh, someone's down.
Got a faller.
Old Hall
corner. It's someone hiding behind the fence. Doesn't want to be seen in public at the moment, just hiding his what do they call it? You guys call it the walk of shame. It's another Kawasaki. You could probably bet on it being a Kawasaki. There's so many of them in this race.
Well, they're just the bike
Tristan
of choice.
Palmer in the lead.
Hudson Kenner. Looked like Hudson Kenner just went up the inside, I thought there.
Yes, he did. Hudson Kenner has nabbed that 4th place just as Tommy Aquino attempted to make a move on Jenko.
Now, let's see what he can do. Thing is, what has he got? 4.5 laps left. Hudson Kenner, how far behind is he? He's got to close in 1.3 seconds. 2.1 seconds on the leader, actually.
So Hudson Kenner then, who remember is just 1 point off the championship lead, held by number 11, Adam Jenkinson, currently running in 2nd place, but finding himself being pestered by American Tommy Aquino, who's a charming lad, incidentally, not nearly what you'd expect from a Hollywood, none of the Hollywood superstar about him, running in 3rd place. Behind him, Hudson Kenner, who needs those points. David Johnson in 5th, Victor Cox 6th, Luke Quigley 7th, Danny Johnson 8th. Oh, Johnson.
He was trying to, I think he was actually in a little bit hot. It looked like he was trying to roll around the outside, which you'll never do there, but it ended up, he just had to shut the throttle, and it cost him all the way down the avenue to Cascades.
And it means Victor Cox has got his eyes on him now. Victor Cox, who, remember, had a splendid year last season, finished 3rd in the championship. Not had such a good start this year. 2/3 of race distance complete. So if anything happens now, a result will stand. But we wanted this to go down to the wire. We're on the 10th lap of 14.
To see the lap comparisons there. So Hudson Kenner he's taking 4/10 of a second off the man in front of him. So he's doing a good job. 4/10 second, 1.3. He would actually catch him on the last. In fact, he would catch him on the last lap at that rate if he can continue that. Palmer doing a good job though. He's got that half second out front. It does wear tyres though quite heavily, the Panigale. So that's something that's really going to start to play in at this point in the race.
David Johnson coming under pressure from Victor Cox, number 28. Cox riding the ILR Kawasaki, and of course with IL, Ian Locker having retired from racing after 30 years of racing and countless TTs and TT wins, 10 TT wins and countless rostrums. Ian Locker has finally decided it's time to stop and focus his attention a little more on running his team. Well, and here's Victor Cox trying to repay him with an improving result as he tries to outbrake Johnson down the hill. Yeah, that's good to hear though. He's had a brilliant career, and so hang up and pass some of that skill and that talent on. And look at this though, look at Cox. He's going to have the inside line for the next corner at Old Hall, so he should do this. But Dave Johnson, Dave Johnson braves it out, muscles it out, and gets back to the apex. So he does a good job there, Johnson. You've got to think that a little bit of that might be he is a big lad, Victor Cox, isn't he? Big, tall, curly-haired, handsome fella, but bigger than David. He really is like about 6'3", a big frontal area as he opens the gas on that Kawasaki. They are, but both of them are quite big lads. They're not. I mean, in fact, Palmer, he's no. They're all pretty big. They're all pretty big guys in this class. They're quite heavy, and it does make a difference, but not as much as on the smaller bikes when you've got as much power as these got. And remember, these bikes are knocking out 200 brake horsepower, so you can actually counterbalance some of that weight. Another millimetre of throttle, and it's poof, picks you up. So it's not quite as critical. But look at that queue behind Johnson. You've got Cox, Quigley, and Storer. Jimmy Storer's made good progress, hasn't he? He's moved through past Danny Johnson now. Danny Johnson pushed down to 9th, and then look at the names behind there, packing out the points. We've got Joe Burns, Philip Backlund, Lee Jackson, Steve Brogan, former champion. Simon Andrews running in 14th place, ahead of number 406, Gavin Hunt from Douglas on the Isle of Man on the JAR Kawasaki. Is that the Jonathan Andrew Ray Kawasaki? It's the same JAR initials as the winner from the first race at World Superbike Silverstone last year, Jonathan Ray, who's gone off to Hoxton Park this weekend to watch his JAR Honda motocross team. Oh, Victor, pull it up, why don't you? He runs wide, and David Johnson says, thank you very much, I'll have that, and so too does Luke Quigley.
Yeah.
The dry Midlander moves through as well. When is a Midlander not dry, actually, now I think about it? And so does number 54, Jimmy Storer. So that one huge move by Victor Cox cost him 2 places.
Yeah, a little bit desperate that, you know, he didn't, it was a bit too tight, couldn't keep it online, and, you know, Victor Cox there just giving him away. I mean, it's cost him 3 places. You're better off to have a look, try and square it off, and, you know, it's easy to do sometimes, but hey.
They've concertinaed at the front. We're on the 12th lap of 14. Tristan Palmer, Adam Jenkinson, Tommy Aquino running neck and neck.
That's the first mistake Palmer's made there, so he was in just a fraction hot. His lead had been up to 0.6 of a second. He's down to 0.2 of a second now. So, and look at this, they're right on him. And Jenkinson, he's a proper racer. He will definitely have a go if he can.
Adam Jenkinson, number 11, comes... oh, look at this. Tommy Aquino gets past. Brilliant move downhill on the WD-40 Kawasaki. Tommy Aquino, who's living in Sheffield, out of Hollywood, jumps through into second place. He finished second at Brands Hatch, and he looks keen to find a way past. Tommy Aquino, I wonder if Ben Bostrom and Scott Russell are watching back home in the States, because their boys threatening to do rather well here.
Yeah, no, that's right.
I think Wayne Rainey's recommendation was pretty accurate, wasn't it?
Well, he's doing really good, and you're right, he's got the hunger. You can see that. Look at Palmer, he's going to have a go up the inside here. Can't do it. Is that his fairing coming off? His fairing's come unclipped on the left-hand side. He's lost some zoots. Oh, what's going on? It's all going on. He's only got a couple of laps left, but his fairing's come unclipped, and it's flapping away in the wind. So it's not too... Look at that, you can just see it. Or maybe... Yeah, no,
yes,
it has. Look.
Yeah.
It has, so... He's going to have to be careful there. It doesn't look like it's getting any worse or causing any danger yet, but the organisers are in their right to... we've seen it before when people have been pulled in, so that would be bad news for him. But anyway, back at the front, it's Tristan Palmer.
At these speeds, it could just rip off and hit somebody behind him, couldn't it? I mean, you've got to say it's a risk. Adam Jenkinson doesn't seem too troubled. He's right there behind him, looking up the inside as they go into Shell Oils. 13th of 14 laps.
So he might well get black flagged here. So we'll have to see at the moment. Let's hope not. Let's hope that it keeps it all together. They'll be looking at this closely. He doesn't know anything about it, obviously. He might hear a slight flapping, but he certainly won't be conscious of it. But it's certainly going to be costing him a little bit of time.
On a wheels over the top of the hill. Wow.
Look at that.
No, it seems to be hanging in all right, doesn't it? Even in the breeze. Hudson Kenner looks as if he's going to have to settle at the moment for that 4th place on bike number 3, but that'll be decent points for the South African as he seeks to stay in touch with Adam Jenkinson. He's only 1 place ahead of him at the moment. That would mean the gap would only open up to 4 points in the championship table.
Yeah, and but you know, Tristan Palmer doing a great job. Remember, he's had 3 rides on this bike. He's had a win. He's so good into there. He's had a win, he's had a 3rd, and he's had a 4th. Can he make it 2 wins out of 4 races? There's only 2. We've had 5 different winners in this class so far in the 7 races, and it's only Jenkinson and Hudson Kenner that have won twice. But if Tristan Palmer does this, he will join that elusive club. It's the last lap, Jack. What do you reckon?
We're on the final lap, and Tristan Palmer leads the way down the avenue. It looks as if Treacle might just have this in the bag if he makes no mistakes. Finished 4th in 2011, despite being docked 50 points after winning Oulton Park, right here, Croft and Knockhill.
Aquino's got to just try and close it up a fraction if he can, because Palmer has done a really good job out of Cascades on that lap. Look at Jenkinson. Jenkinson's having a little sniff, but he can't get up the inside there on this lap.
Tommy Aquino fending off the championship leader, Adam Jenkinson, and that's giving a chance for Tristan Palmer just to escape a little bit. The Ansley motorcycle trader from just outside Nuneaton. 30 years old now. Tristan Palmer on the Ducati Panigale. Rapido Racing. He's leading it just.
Yeah, I'll tell you, sorry, Jack. I was just saying Aquino was riding absolutely beautiful through there. So late on the brakes, dragging his brake, a little bit of a slide coming up. He's still desperately trying. He needs to get a bit closer, but he is riding the socks off it.
Tommy Aquino standing the big Kawasaki up. Look at the drive he got up Clay Hill. He might yet be keen to have a look as they approach Druids.
He's going to have a go. He's going to come down to the last lap, last corner.
There's a swoop. He's got a big moment that's running wide. Adam Jenkinson goes through. He was trying to get the early drive out of Druids, and he just overcooked it and gave Jenkinson the opportunity. But is it Tristan Palmer who's going to become a double race winner here in the championship? Tristan Palmer takes victory from the Rapido Racing Ducati team ahead of Adam Jenkinson, SMT Kawasaki. Tommy Aquino back on the rostrum for WD-40 ahead of Hudson Kenner, and the next man over, Jimmy Storer from a long way back. The Persia garage owner makes a terrific run through. Joe Burns, number 53, will be a little disappointed finishing down there in 11th place, having been stuffed by Philip Backlund. But a great cheer there for Ducati.
Yeah, great from Palmer, Jenkinson and Aquino, but Aquino, he lost the front of Druids there, right? Last lap, he's thinking about trying to get on the back of Palmer. The front folds and he managed to pick it up. And he was so lucky there's no run off there. That would have been a big crash, and he saved off the front, but what a save that was on the last lap. Here it is, it's what we're looking at. Now watch the bike second in the picture. So he comes into here, now you watch his front wheel, he's turning it here, watch it suddenly go there, look at that. And then he saves it, he has the presence of mind to keep it on hold, but it gives Jenkinson the inside line. But great racing there from all three of these guys. And a lovely win from Palmer on the Rapido Sport Ducati, Jenkinson on the SMT Kawasaki, followed by the WD-40 Kawasaki of Aquino. Great stuff from that top three.
So what, the Rapido Sport Racing guys, what a great result for them once again on that Superstock Panigale, the bike that's leading the Italian Superbike Championship only under the new Superstock rules, and showing itself to be a really strong machine in that form. There's little family Palmer heading down to greet, not that gentleman, but the people behind.
But, you know, also, there's only Palmer, Jenkinson and Kenner now that have won 2 races apiece, and everyone else has won 1. But, you know, what a great race that was. Oh, it's a burnout.
I'm just thinking, by the way, it's, the former champion Steve Brogan had to pull in very late in that race. Didn't finish that race from well in the points. Been having a problem with his arms this weekend. Tristan Palmer then takes victory. Palmer at the moment was on 54 points, and he's just pushing on to put himself into contention for this championship. Tristan Palmer wins it ahead of Adam Jenkinson and Tommy Aquino. Hudson Kenner keeps himself very much in the championship chase in 4th place out of Jimmy Storer's BMW. Victor Cox on the ILR Racing Kawasaki recovers to 6th ahead of David Johnson, Luke Quigley, Danny Johnson and Sweden's Philip Backlund. And just outside that top 10, disappointment for Joe Burns and for little Lee Jackson. Simon Andrews gets a good 13th place finish ahead of Gavin Hunt and the last point scorer Josh Day. And look at the quality of people who aren't in the points. Josie Elliott, Ashley Beach, Lee Johnston, Robbie Brown and G-Cock out of those points. So the championship positions, still a very close fought contest. Adam Jenkinson with that late 2nd place. He's eased out a colossal 8-point advantage over Hudson Kenner. 27 points further back now, and not out of it by any means is Joel Burns, followed by Philip Backlund, now level with Tristan Palmer in 4th place. Victor Cox in 6th. Tommy Aquino is now 7th ahead of Dan Johnson, Lee Jackson and Peter Ward. 11th place for David Johnson, 12th for the Steve Brogan, who scored nothing in that race. Josh Day, Luke Quigley now 14th ahead of Jimmy Storer. James East, who had to retire from that contest. John McGuinness, Marshall Neal, Jonathan Howarth and Jonathan Railton. Off the start, the man on pole position, Tristan Palmer, certainly notched up the perfect start, swung down to Old Hall Corner ahead of Tommy Aquino and led from the start. And the Rapido Sport Racing Ducati was going to come under some pressure during the course of the race, initially from number 11. That's Adam Jenkinson. Tommy Aquino lost 3rd place to David Johnson, but lunged straight back under in a brave move at Island Bend. Tristan Palmer leading the way. A mistake for David Johnson gave an opportunity there for Hudson Kenner to get through. The South African couldn't quite make it. but he'd soon moved through into 4th place. The front three, though, had broken away, and Tommy Aquino, not to be outdone, even though his fairing was becoming undone, lunged once more past Adam Jenkinson into 2nd place. The 21-year-old American really getting in the mix here, looking for his first victory in his debut season in the UK and his maiden season on a 1000cc superbike. And then he has this enormous moment on the last lap, loses the front as he goes through Druids, trying to get on terms with Tristan Palmer. That gives Jenkinson the opportunity to dive through on the SMT Kawasaki. But for Rapido Sport Racing's Tristan Palmer, a brilliant victory, his 2nd win of the season in the 4 races that he's contested on the Ducati. He wins it from Adam Jenkinson and Tommy Aquino. Brilliantly, coolly takes victory, and that is a 2nd race win of the season for Treacle.
Okay, well, we are here with the 3rd place finisher, Tommy Aquino, and we were just talking about the save, the tuck. 2 corners to go. My word, it was massive to look at. How did it feel from your point of view?
Oh, man, it was a mixture of luck and a little bit of skill there. I jammed my knee down into it once I felt the front go. It's been slippery in that turn all weekend, and man, I'm so lucky to save it. I'm just so pleased to be up here. I really wanted a shot at the win or 2nd, but I'll settle for 3rd over a crash any day.
I tell you what, if you wanted to entertain us, boy, did you do that. It wasn't bad enough that your fairing was flapping around on the WD-40 bike, but then that tuck was amazing. Time is against us, unfortunately. We have to let you go to the podium, but well done, Tommy.
Thank you.
There we go, Tommy Aquino on the WD-40 bike. He will go off to the podium. Let's get in our 2nd place finisher. Tristan Palmer, go away for a moment, Tris. Our 2nd place finisher, Adam Jenkinson on the SMT Racing Kawasaki. Great result for you there, Adam. Come the last lap, it looked like you were looking to try and push past Tommy if you could, but he was shutting the door everywhere, wasn't he?
Yeah, to be fair, you know, I don't know if you noticed back on the camera, I run it right out at Druids to pull it back tight, but he ended up just sort of, I think he drifted a bit wide anyway, so he opened the door nicely. Now, I was running it wide to try and have a go at last bend, but fair play to the kid, you know, he's riding well. You know, we bashed on the avenue on the first couple of laps, and I think it's ripped his fairing off, so he's rode all race like that, but you know, it was a close call at the start, but you know, Tris rode a fantastic race and just held that pace. You know, he kept me honest all race. You know, he was better in some parts of the track, and then I was better in others. But you know, it just give or take. You know, fantastic race. So, massive thanks to Manchester Van Ayer, Northern School of Plasterers, huge safety showers, SMT, Alec, Fred, Steve, Robin. You know, all been fantastic. Gary at Replicas, thanks to you all. You know, mega race, mega day. Thank you.
Nicely done, and you've given them a great podium with it. We'll let you go to that podium. Very well done, Adam Jenkinson, our 2nd place finisher. Now we'll talk to our race winner, Tristan Palmer. Do you have any idea how small you make that bike look, Tris? You make it look like a mini moto, but it doesn't matter. When you ride like that, you were impressive today. How was the race for you?
Yeah, hard work. Obviously, I saw Tommy on the run down the hill on the first lap, and that's all I saw of anyone. So I was just trying to run my own race. Really, I couldn't get a gap. So I was watching the pit board, just hoping I could gap him a little bit. But I knew they were there most of the time. So
how easy is it to try and run your own race when you're in that sort of company and there's a lot of bashing going on?
It's hard because you can hear them in some of the corners, so you know they're there, and it's just trying to not make any mistakes. Really, last few laps tyres went off a bit as well, so I was struggling mid-corner. I was just trying to block them a little bit, really slow them up mid-corner and drive out on the Ducati because it's got good punch out the corners, so all worked perfect. The Mill Sport team have been fantastic all weekend, so big thanks to them, Ducati, Motor Rapido, Express Coffee, everyone who's involved with us this year, just done a great job to get us here.
Delighted to see you back on top of the podium once again. A couple of wins in the bag now. We'll let you go to that podium. Very well done.
Cheers, thank you.
There we go, our race winner, Tristan Palmer. He is going to make his way over to the podium, and whilst he does that, we'll go back to Jack.
Great result there from Tristan Palmer, the Annesley motorcycle trader who was the British Superbike Cup champion back in 2007 when they had that kind of privateers class, and also third in this Superstock Championship, just 2 points behind Glenn Richards in 2010. So he's been pressing his case in the Superstock Championship for a few years now, dipped his toes into superbike racing as well. But on this Ducati Panigale, really hit his stride straight away when he stepped onto the bike. And he's really not looked back and moves into joint 4th place in the championship. He won first time out at Knock Hill. Finished 4th at Snetterton, 3rd last time out at Brands Hatch, and now back on the top of the box here at Oulton Park. Brilliant performance then by this very, very quietly spoken and modest chap. We're waiting for the podium to get set up here. If we look back at some of the guys who won this Superstock Championship race during the course of the past few years, it reads like a who's who of motorcycle racing. Since 2001, people like David Jeffries, Steve Brogan, Les Shand, Brendan Roberts, John Kirkham, Steve Brogan, Ian Hutchinson, and John Kirkham again, Adam Jenkinson and David Johnson have been winners here. Tristan Palmer adds his name to that illustrious list. Second place for Jenkinson. He's delighted because that extends his lead in the championship. And what about the third place man on that WD-40 bike being presented with his trophy now? The 21-year-old from Hollywood, Tommy Aquino. Barry Urand is the podium presenter. Second place goes to Adam Jenkinson. And a big smile on the face of Tristan Palmer, because Tris takes his second race win of the season here at Oulton Park.
Indeed, he does take his second race win of the year in the Pirelli National Superstock 1000s. But save of the day so far has to go to Tommy Aquino, the guy in the WD-40 yellow and blue leathers. Brilliant save for him as they were coming up to the end of that race. Stay right where you are. We're going for a short break, but when we come back, we'll bring you all the latest news from Oulton Pit Lane.